Morning all. I'm here with Barbara and Brian. Two of my key supporters are actually will be two of the names that are sponsoring me as nominations on the nominations form, so I can be an official candidate for the Brexit Party for Ilford South, which is fantastic. Now, Barbara and Brian, we've been talking a lot, and I've been talking with other people in their generation about kind of their view on politics, and increasingly they've become frustrated with mainstream politicians because they just no longer represent their views. No one is really representing the older generation. And while it's important to speak to, the future of young people, we can't forget the other side as well. Now, this is important to me. Like growing up, my family, like many of you, I'm sure, have kind of grown up with very important values. One of those is to look after the elderly, make sure, they are looked after in that old age. And the point of pensions is to reflect that value. And unfortunately, we're living in a situation now where, people in the older generation are forgotten about, and we kind of assume that they're not going to vote. So I wanted Barbara to kind of speak to you guys to get her perspective on why she's supporting the Brexit Party, why she's turned off from mainstream politics, and what she hopes to see in the future. Hi Barbara, how are you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. So tell me, Barbara, why are you supporting the Brexit Party?
Well, basically because it's a different kind of politics, and also because all the candidates for the Brexit Party are... Sorry, I'm nervous.
That's all right. Just speak naturally. We don't. It's fine.
The candidates for the Brexit Party are working people who've had a life and not spent their entire life in school, in Parliament as researchers, and then MPs, career politicians, basically.
All right. So why do you think ordinary people, who've come from like people like me, who've come from different backgrounds, and I can sort of name a few: teachers, engineers, doctors. I'm in banking. Taxi drivers, farmers. Why are we better placed to do politics than the experts, the politicians?
Because you've lived the life. You've done it. You're aware of the difficulties and the situation. For instance, the difficulties of travelling to London to work. The difficulties of you're not going around in a car isolated from the rest of the world. You've got your problems as well, and you understand the situation. You understand how people suffer various bits and pieces. Suffer's probably too strong a word, but the average difficulties. For instance, in this area, one of the problems...
Ilford South.
Ilford South is you go out in the morning. We need to go shopping, and we do have a car because I can't go too far without I get out of breath. So you go to the end of the road and you join the queue. There's a traffic problem. There's an NHS problem in that you need to see the doctor. You've got to wait for 3 weeks before you can get an appointment.
So we're talking about the problems, but in your view, why do you think a new generation of politicians, non-politicians, will come in and change things? How will we, for you, why do you think we'll be different? Because I know you're passionate about this. You have this strong view that we will be different. But
Yeah.
In your day-to-day life, what will change?
I think you can manage the country better because of your experience, life's experience, and I hate the word elite, but basically you're normal people. That sounds really awful, I'm sorry, but you're normal. You also had to go to work. You also had to juggle your budget to feed the family. You also have parents who have their problems, and you've got children as well that have got their problems. So you've got you don't have a nanny to look after your family. You have to do it as well as work.
Now, Barbara, a lot of people are saying, in the media that we're far right, we are a fringe party, we're on the outside, we're extreme. You've spoken to a lot of people in the area,
Absolutely.
I mean, what's your take on the reality of it? Are we like that, or what's your view?
Absolutely not. I'm not just saying this because you're standing in front of me. If you were far right, I wouldn't be voting for you. That's not my aim at all.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be it's not in my makeup at all.
Yeah.
I'm not far right. And if I thought for 1 minute you were far right, I wouldn't be voting. This actually sounds like an advert. It's absolutely not. This is me. This is how we feel. And I've watched all the rallies on my computer of Nigel Farage and lovely Anne Widdecombe and all that. They're actually caring people. They care about their own people. It's a caring party.
Now you mentioned we, so obviously it's not just you we're talking about, but it's a number of people. Who have you spoken to locally, and who shares your view about supporting the Brexit Party?
Right, the answer to that is simple. I've never met anybody that doesn't like the Brexit Party. I do spend too much time on social media, far too much time, and your party is the underground, the background of it all, is my generation support the Brexit Party.
And do you think that will make a difference?
There are people that don't, but I've never met them.
Now, do you think, how much of an impact do you think, as you say, your people and your generation, how much of an impact do you think they'll have on the vote in the general election?
We're the generation that were brought up to go and vote. That's what we do. That's our duty. That's how we see things. It's your duty to go and vote. If you don't vote, this is a cliche, but I'm going to have to say it. If you don't vote, you can't complain about what's happened.
Yeah.
And I have to say that in the past, I've voted all sorts of people and very rarely got the party I wanted. But that's democracy, and the democratic thing is we've lost democracy in this current parliament and previous parliaments too.
And why have we lost? I mean, why do you say we've lost democracy? Because you voted before, and
because they manipulate to get things that they want. We were supposed to vote Remain, and we didn't, and that they've just never ever had had sort of stuff go against them now. And look at the absolute nonsense that we've had to suffer in the last 3 years.
Now, Barbara, I know many people are leavers, people like you, ordinary men and women. Now, one of the things that we're dealing with in the mainstream media, they're saying, the Brexit Party aren't important, we've got to get behind the Conservative Party. The Conservatives are asking us to stand down, which quite frankly is disgraceful. And we're not going to stand down. If necessary, we're going to go upright against them in every constituency.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Does that give you any fear about splitting the Leave vote, as they say?
No.
Why not?
Because I think that the mainstream media are in for a shock.
And what about Boris's treaty, May's treaty, whatever you want to call it? Is that leaving? Is that not leaving?
I don't pretend to know the ins and outs or understand all of it. I wouldn't pretend to. But from what I can see, it's a compromise.
Yeah.
It's not. We're not ever going to leave, and because also my generation, well, me, I have to speak for me in this particular instance. I don't trust the politicians anymore. I've got no trust at all, because what they've done is despicable. They've manipulated the situation to just destroy the democratic vote, which was to leave. And I understand that you need to unite the country, but it's too late for that now. And therefore, I suppose Boris thinks, well, this is a compromise. We're not actually leaving, but we're sort of leaving. And it will unite the country. It won't. It never will. You've got to change the situation drastically to get it sorted. And what you've got to do is give the people confidence to know that if they do leave, they're not going to die tomorrow, because there won't be any drugs. This country was I was married with 2 children before we actually went into Common Market, and it changed overnight from my point of view, and it just made it worse for us ordinary people, because we suddenly got shortages, which has been forgotten. There was no sugar. We went on holiday, we couldn't get any sugar. and there was a butter mountain, there was a sugar mountain, there was a beef mountain, and a wine lake.
So you've seen all kinds of issues over the past years, and this is nothing new.
It started when we went in, and it turned out that the reason that there was all these shortages was being forced done by the EU to bring the price up to the levels of the EU, to create shortages to bring the price up. Let me just tell you, before we went into the EU, French people used to come in to Folkestone and Dover by boat to do their shopping over here because it was cheaper than the EU.
So, you
remember that.
Do you buy into any of this nonsense, about the fact that coming out of the EU is going to impact our relationship with ordinary European people?
No. And let me tell you this, I've got friends all over the world.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of friends in Europe. And they don't want to be in the EU either. But you're not going to hear that, because you're not going to hear the media won't print as that, because the media don't like it.
Yeah. Barbara, that's been fantastic. So thank you for that. Let me just add one more thing to that. So, like Barbara and like many of us, we have friends from all over the world, across the EU. And this idea that, coming out of the European Union will impact the relationship with ordinary Europeans is nonsense. The girl I'm going to marry is Swedish, and she supports me, supporting the Brexit Party and fighting for our cause for independence. I'm doing an MBA at Cambridge with students, many of which come from European member state countries. And having spoken to me, they understand exactly my view politically. These are fantastic friends of mine. And the key is about changing the governance, bringing back democracy. It's not about destroying relationships. Those will always continue. And so we need to have a sensible conversation about what leaving the EU means. It's really a change in governance, restoring power to the people, restoring trust and integrity. So, Barbara, thank you very much for your time. I think this has been really insightful. I think people will find this really useful.